Hey there, fifth grade. How are you doing? I'm sure that you've been exploring a lot of different things during this time while you've been at home and doing school at the same time. Um, I hope that you've been enjoying some of the stories that we've been learning about in music, how music tells a story. Now, we're going to focus a little bit more streamlined on one specific type of storytelling done through music, and that is storytelling done on the stage. Now, there are several different types of stage shows that tell stories through music. You have opera, which is all sung through, all of it is singing for the entire story. There's operetta, which is more serious singing, but some spoken dialogue in between scenes. And there is the tradition of the Broadway style musical, where it's basically a stage play with background music and with songs that are sung by the characters that help to specifically tell parts of the story. Now, I'll be honest, you know that I like music, obviously, because I teach it, right? But I love performing in musicals. And I want to show you how some of these things can actually help to develop characters. I have clips of two different shows that I've been in. One of them is actually a character, the Vizier of Police. He's an evil, evil man in the musical Kismet, talking about his career where he has managed to kind of get rid of the people who get in his way. The other piece is a little bit of a show called Titanic, which is actually based on the historical incident of the sinking of the ship Titanic. I played First Officer Murdoch in that show, and there's a brief solo he has where the captain has left him in charge of the ship, and he's kind of thinking about what's going on. Now, listen carefully. I'm only going to give you short snippets of each of these, but I want you to listen to these performances that I have done to see how they specifically tie in to characters telling a little bit of their story. Listen.
Imagine the Wazir of Police with a wizard in his employ. Power within power. Now, no end is too high, and no means too low. How subtly I shall reform the face of Baghdad. Subtlety. Always subtlety. Anyone can be violent or crude, but subtlety has put me where I am. We caught the certain of them and hung them in their prison pen, who served suspended by their cause. Was I, was here, I was. Was he, was here, he was. When the keeper of the royal zoo was shot, a cockatoo or two, who sealed him in a pot of glue. Was I, was here, I was. Was he, was here, he was. As a way of learning what wants to know, delegates unto the point. They always seem to remember when I begin to dismember them on by on, and year by year, and joint by joint. When the court musician lost his grasp and let his lute begin to grasp, who had been bitten by an asp? Was I, was here? Was he, was here? Was I, was here? I was.
Why are you waiting so long to take a ship of your own?
master of a ship carries a heavy burden, sir.
Every single minute.
I'm just not certain I'm up to it, sir.
Ship's master must be certain of everything, Mr. Murdoch. Even when he's not. I'm as certain of that as I am that this will be my final crossing.
Captain?
After 43 years of service, Mr. Murdoch, I've informed the line of my intention to retire. They asked me to stay on to see them through the maiden voyage. My wife was disappointed, of course. But how could I refuse? Take over, Mr. Murdoch.
Thousands on board, each in his class. You are the master of all that must pass. Yours to set course, yours to command. You hold their souls in the palm of your hand. You hold their souls in the palm of your hand.
That as you listen to that, if you weren't just laughing and going, Mr. Byerly up on stage, no. If you weren't just busy doing that, you were probably able to notice that each character was telling a little bit about what they were thinking or feeling, or telling a little bit about their own personal background in those snippets there. Those are only two of several things that I have performed in. Okay, I gave you two examples. You probably are familiar with many other examples. How many of you like the animated Disney movies? Most of those, and most of the Pixar movies actually, are musicals. You have characters who stop at some point in time and they're helping to tell their own story or thinking about the action going on around them through singing. That is the crux of what a musical is, the heart of it. Now, there are several different types of musicals, and to give you a rundown of different types of musicals that are out there, I have a video for you to watch from the Music Workshop that will tell you a little bit more about the history and development of different types of musicals. There's a worksheet to go along with it that I would like you to follow along and fill in a Google Doc and send that to me. But afterwards, you are going to write your own musical. Now you're probably looking at me and going, I don't write music. What are you talking about? Come on, how am I going to do that? There's a specific type of musical called a jukebox musical. A musical that takes existing pieces of music and ties them to a new story. A lot of times those pieces of music are things that are pieced together by who had performed the music or who had written the music, or sometimes by what album they had been on, even if it had been different artists. The idea is that there's some sort of outside association before the show with some unifying theme, and then they put a story around these songs that people already know. You're going to come up with an original story. You're going to make the advertising material, the poster for it. You're going to outline the story for me, and then you're going to pick 10 songs and explain how those songs relate to each other, relate to your story, and make a new jukebox musical. I think it'll be kind of fun to see what you guys come up with. Some people have gotten real creative with this and used it as a way to tell their own story of their life. Other students, when I've given this project to them before, have turned it into Minecraft the musical and talking about all the different things that they've built around the world. Others have turned it into things where they've decided to take the story of Lord of the Rings and put it together as a musical. Actually, that's a good idea. Believe it or not, somebody already has done it, but you can come up with your own version too. Feel free to come up with new ideas, new musical thoughts. I look forward to seeing what you've put together and hearing your new jukebox musical. Have fun learning about one of the most interesting native forms of music in the United States. And don't worry about being overly dramatic. There is no such thing in this case. Look forward to seeing you soon.